All right, good morning, everybody. How's everyone doing today? If you could please type into the chat that you can hear me and that we're all good to go, we shall begin. Hi, John. Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Hope you guys have had a nice day since yesterday and that you had time to think about our trade hacking session yesterday and that you got something out of our fast test on the euro yen. Going to continue doing that. Had a good time with that. I got a lot of feedback too afterwards from people that were really excited about it and grateful and learned a lot. So that's good. Appreciate that. Hope it helped everybody. Definitely early, Perry. On days like this, I tend to wake up like way earlier than I even want to, but it is what it is. It's for about that. That's what happened. Uh, Dan Pointer, thank you for waking up early. I have no choice. I woke up at 3:30 and couldn't go back to sleep, so it is what it is. But I had to be up by 5:30 anyway to be here with you, so you're welcome. Crude oil is one and done. Let's take a look why and how. So right at 9, you could see it 43 seconds into the session, getting short, and boom, look at that. Target 1's too small. Got to go to target 2 is your minimum target for 14 cents, 140 bucks. But look at target 3 hitting it right on the nail. And then target 4, also pretty darn close. But a good trade, one and done. I mean, on a crude oil inventory report day, if you can do an early morning 9 a.m. mini session, get in like a minute into the session and hit your goals like within 1 to 3 minutes, depending on which target you're going for. Wow, that's pretty darn good. That's what we want. We want this every single day. We could work 3 minutes a day and then go enjoy the rest of our day, right? I wouldn't even need to see you in this trade room because you'd already be finished before I even open the room. So there you go. Again, you're welcome. I hope it helped. All right, unleaded gas just hit its power of quitting too while I'm speaking, because what happened with unleaded gas, and this uses the dark blue line, the 20 SMA. This is a diamond level trade, but you could learn how to draw this manually if you don't have the diamond level spotlight. It's the same trade that we get off the yellow line, the 50 moving average, only we do it off a 20 simple moving average. It's great for a pullback trade because it marks where a reaction move might end. And then we want to get that subsequent action move. And that's usually good, but this is pretty late in the trend. It's probably the weakest time to use this particular setup. And yet that was the first trade of the day this morning. Down in here. And it got to money management. I mean, it got to a break-even position. So that would have been the first trade of the day, almost 4 minutes into the session. Almost would have got to target 1, but didn't, so break even, so meaning a second trade is necessary, setting up this nice oversold. Blue trade, and that one you could see just hitting its target 3. And unleaded gas has just been an amazing market to trade, and today in 2 trades hitting its goals, and it is basically still going, but for power of quitting purposes, that trade's done. If you're in it, great. Your stop should be at 07. Move it a tick off that 50 moving average, but it's going to go up in a second. It's going to go up to 19 in a moment, probably. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. Are you guys don't see any charts? Is that what you're saying? That's weird. You know what? You don't see any charts. Why? Let's see what happens when I do this. Huh. Still nothing, huh? It's doing the thingamajigger. That's so annoying. Software has gremlins sometimes. All right, let me try something. I'll show you this stuff again. Let me just see if I can do the screen share. 1 second. Okay, that one, share screen. You guys can hear me though, at least, right? I mean, you hear me talking. Hopefully. You guys hear me talking. Let me look. All right, now you can see stuff. There's a delay though. Let me know when you could see it. Okay, and you're hearing me talk too. All right, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. I had it set up and then something went, who knows what. All right. All right, so anyway, just a quick look. You heard what I said about the pound Aussie. This was the trade. It set up at 803. It triggered in here on a get and sink. Nothing to write home about. A quick little 11 pip trade. Couldn't get any higher. I mean, at the time, it looked like it had a chance, but with the descending 50 moving average pushing down on the 200, this would have been a trade that would have been filtered out with our squeeze filter if target 1 was on the other side of the 50. It would have been straddled, and that's what we call the squeeze filter, because the 50 is pushing down and squeezing down onto the 200 moving average. But there is a nuance with how we created this filter in the code, that if it has a chance to reach its first target inside of that same space, it does not filter the trade out. It becomes a valid trade. Now, I realize Kevin didn't call this in the trade a day service because his charts just don't line up with mine all the time. He's in another location in the country. And just, I mean, even if it was a half a pip off or whatever, it could have pushed target 1 up. It could have filtered this trade out. Maybe who knows why he didn't get it. I don't know, but there was no trade for him. So that's why I didn't call it. So on my chart, it's one and done with a little 11 pip winner. And as I was saying, you know, we kind of hit a couple losses the last couple days, and this one winning trade you're not going to make up for a few losses in a row. It takes time. It takes a few winners, and sometimes we're going to get our extended winning streaks. It's bound to happen. Hasn't happened in a while, so that means we're probably overdue. It's rare when we get a number of losses in a row, but that could happen too. Trade plans go through their moments of, malaise, or where you don't feel like you're getting any traction, and maybe you're not for a while. That's usually when people quit, and then it explodes. So you got to be careful and make sure you believe in what you're doing. That was part of what our session was yesterday. Yesterday's session was all about building that foundation of belief. I really want all of you to kind of be the masters of your own trade decisions. As much as we believe in our alert services, I mean, that's a nice crutch, but let's face it, you're better off being your own trader and knowing what you're doing and believing in what you're doing. It's hard to do with an alert service. An alert service is not going to give you the big overall picture. All right, so I showed you, I talked about showing you crude oil. This was the trade over here. You could see how nice it hit its targets. Target one was too small. It's one and done. Crude oil will do that when the report happens in about 20, 25 minutes. I'll kick you out of here and reopen a new room just so that we can do the crude oil report. Unleaded gas is still going. I showed you the blue trade and how it's good for a pullback and getting that subsequent action move. And you could see a really extended downward trend. This is what I was showing you guys. And you could see how just visualize what I'm talking about with that blue trade, the dark blue trade. Action move, reaction into the dark blue line. That's a 20 SMA is what that is. And this would have been a blue trade to go down. It just so happened that it also corresponded with a yellow trade also. The proximity of the dots is literally sitting on all three of those lines. So the calculator chose yellow as a hierarchy decision. But if it wasn't close to the 50 moving average, this would have been a dark blue trade. And so ultimately you're getting action, reaction, subsequent action. And that dark blue trade, it's really one of the best things it's designed for is after the pullback into that line is catching that next leg down. And look how accurate that subsequent action is. So it's that whole principle that I built my career on, that the immediate past predicts the immediate future, and that's relative to the chart you're trading. So just think about that for a minute, because you could learn so much from that idea. We're taking a pattern, which is an action and a reaction. You can call it a 1, 2, 3 pattern, or however you want to name it. And we're predicting then where 4 would be. So 1, 2, 3, 4, or target. And that next leg down is the immediate future. So the immediate past is this pattern. And it starts with the one that's easy to define. So it's really easy to figure out that first action move. The hard part is figuring out where the reaction ends. Because if you don't get that right, you get into trades that don't work. Like, how do you know that the reaction didn't end here? Right? Because if you would have taken this as a reaction and tried to trade a new action move down, you would have ended up triggering in, and then it would have went up higher and stopped you out. Well, depending on where your stop is, but the reaction did not end here. Where it did end was near the 20 SMA, and that's what's so beautiful about the 20 SMA, a simple moving average, is that it often marks where the reaction tends to end. And you're hoping it's going to be about 1/3, maybe half, maybe 2/3, but the 1/3 is the sweet spot of the action move. So anywhere between 1 to 2/3 reaction, and then you set up that subsequent action move. So this is the immediate past, this pattern, and the immediate future is where we place our trade at the right edge of the chart with odds on our side. And this is where that dark blue trade helps us out and gives us that nice spotlight setup. Like I said, this was also off the yellow line too. It's the only reason why it's a yellow, but it gives you a subsequent move down. And there's actually ripples inside because you have also then another reaction and then another action. It just so happens that it's all part of a bigger action also. So that's another interesting thing to always think of. The first action move and the first reaction move will set up that second leg, and that's usually where the strongest move takes place, is that second leg. Not always, but often. And so that's a good trade to try to catch. Then the third leg down, well, that has a chance of being fairly strong also, not maybe as strong as the second leg. And then a lot of the other thing you have to think of in terms of abstract thinking is that these moves, remember this immediate past predicting the immediate future, and the action, reaction, subsequent action can also happen on a higher time frame chart. So you have a faster chart here, but it could be fitting into a higher time frame chart as well, so that it could be that like this was a reaction to a higher time frame setting up a reaction all the way down, or it could be that this move is just a stronger action move on a higher time frame. So you got the ripples inside of the bigger waves. So that's hard for people to think on sometimes, but you got to imagine that if you can. But just following this chart down, the blue line is still doing a pretty good job of showing us the direction of the trend, as well as marking maybe some pullback zones. This pullback zone, well, if you think about a bigger action move, you have a bigger reaction move, and this one went into a 50 moving average. That would have been a 20 SMA on a higher time frame chart. So remember, there's a line everywhere at every price point if you think about it. Just not on a chart we're looking at. So you have to keep that in mind. So anyway, that brings us down. That first trade of the day then that came for us was after a lot of legs down, and you could see that the legs down are waning. They're getting less and less. So you get that first and second and third strong move, and by the time you get with the fourth and the fifth, it starts to slow down, and that's where you have to start thinking that a reaction could actually end up becoming a bottoming formation, which is going to chop you up, because bottom formations are kind of indecisive and it doesn't know if it's going to keep going lower or reverse. Or it could just be a weak, the reaction could end up becoming an action move in the opposite direction. So these are all things you have to be aware of. And if you look at a higher time frame chart, a slower chart, you might be able to see those forming and give you a heads up on the faster chart. This is all like advanced, we don't want to look at a lot of charts, but it's just something for you to imagine. So I'm just walking you through this to give you a little nugget to think on. We still had enough in here, but this is a bottoming formation. You could see it just kind of rounding, I don't know, whatever name you want to call it. And so getting short here, pretty lucky to hit, money management for a break-even trade. And it ends up being that the new move to the upside is an action in the new direction. And there it is. No real reaction yet. On a faster chart, faster than this, maybe these are reactions here. This one, but all contained by our balance line so far. So I like to walk you through that principle because I know a lot of you tend to get confused by it and miss it, and it was such a perfect example to talk you through that. All right, so we haven't looked at the YM yet. And 8:30, look at that. How many of you are not yet convinced that the YM has just been an amazing chart to trade with Spotlight at the open of our sessions with this 14-point momentum bar? We just see it win and win and win and win. And here it is again, one and done, still going. So it's been an amazing morning with our main, the main trade plans that we follow. The YM, crude oil, unleaded gas, pound Aussie. The other ones are kind of like just taking up real estate so that we can kind of look and see. I haven't figured out the Russell. I haven't spent time with it. I'm actually working on some new ideas now. And the Russell is actually showing signs of life for me, which I'm excited about because I like the Russell. The Russell's a good trading chart. Just haven't spent enough time with it since COVID with Spot. And trading it. Again, is pretty nice. I think. Let's see what happened today. Let's just see. We were trading. Connection. I just got disconnected. I don't know if you guys can hear me. guys, I keep getting disconnected and I'm not sure why, which means I have to now share my screen again. This is kind of annoying. Sorry, guys. Why does that keep happening? John, I'll try that next time. I'll try to refresh it. So you guys can hear me? I know I got cut off there for a moment. We were just starting to look at the Euro Yen. We did a really cool back test session yesterday with our Trade Hacking Club. Kind of a dress rehearsal on that. We'll be doing more of those. You guys hear me? I'm also kind of handicapped because I'm still in my portable setup. Thank you, Perry. All right, so 8:30 is the start time for the Euro Yen, and you got to be really careful about working around spikes with this chart. You got to make your adjustments, and it's not looking like it was good today regardless. Let's see. So at 8:30, well, you got your short right in here, and it looks like you had time to grab it. It actually made 12 pips. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, maybe if you're adjusting around, let's see, the entry would have been at 76. Yeah, so if you get in at 74, which is really where you want to get in on that, and it gets to 64, missed by 1/10 of 1 pip. I mean, you got to count that as a one and done. You just have to. 10 pips are the minimum. That is the minimum 10 pip. It got 9.9. I mean, because if you don't count that, then you got all this crap that comes after. I mean, it's just trading lousy. But if you do count it as one and done and you make yourself a cheese sandwich, which is better than nothing. So it is what it is. All right, John, I'll give that a go. So, I mean, if it's happening with YouTube, I mean, maybe it's a YouTube thing, then it's, I was wondering, maybe it's the internet where I'm at, but everything else is working, so I don't think that's it. So maybe it's light stream. I don't know. I'll try the quick refresh. So, I mean, look at this. We're just in serious rally mode here. The YM is still in its first trade of the day. Crude oil was done quickly, and then it had a losing trade, and the second losing trade if you're trading off the dark blue line, but then a big winner. But really, it was one and done, so you don't mess with it after that. I'm going to stick to the trade plan. Unleaded's still in its, winning trade. That is the plan there. It broke even, and now this. I mean, wow, what a session, huh? Any questions, you guys? How about after yesterday? Anybody, did you guys get something out of yesterday's session? It seemed like everybody was right on point with what we went over, because I really didn't get any pushback. I didn't get anybody saying, hey, yeah, but, or I didn't get any questions about why did you do this? What are you doing here? Everyone was like, oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be. A fast test's pretty easy to understand. You're just figuring out if you can quit your session positive most of the time with efficient trading. And that's the name of the game, really. Perry, thank you for that. I really appreciate Perry's comment. That's what I always aim to do. I mean, trading could be complicated, but it doesn't have to be. And we try to keep it simple. That's really why I designed the spotlight the way I did, and taking it even further, the catapult trading system It was meant to even be more simple, simpler. Speaking of which, can I leak out some news to you guys? I'm not sure if I'm ready. I might be putting the cart before the horse a little bit, but I'm nearly certain. I mean, if I had to put a percentage on how certain I was, I'd probably say 90%, so maybe 10% uncertain, 90% certain, that I will be coming out with a new catapult module and boot camp series, hopefully next month. I'm shooting for May. That's really optimistic. If so, it would be the second half of May. An energies module. So the catapult might have a twist or two in there. I'm still working on a few things, but it's going to be for the energies, which means crude oil, unleaded gas, heating oil. Maybe we should look at heating oil with Spotlight. Heating oils, that used to be one of our all-time favorite markets, and it kind of got replaced by unleaded gas. For good reason, unleaded gas had more volume. But the volume in heating oil is catching up, and heating oil is, I mean, look at the volume on unleaded gas is only 16,000 contracts. That's not very many. It's enough, but it's not very many. So speaking of heat, I know I'm jumping around here because I was just telling you about a catapult module, but let's look at heating oil with Spotlight just for the heck of it, since it's on my mind. I think I'd just basically copy the unleaded gas chart and change the symbol and do nothing else. That's my first hunch. When things work, they work. I haven't looked at this, so, well, I mean, it's almost the same volume, right? It's only a couple thousand contracts less. So, I mean, if you could trade unleaded gas, you could trade heating oil. 9 o'clock, first trade of the morning, one and done. I mean, what? Wow. Not bad, huh? I mean, wouldn't it be nice to catch that? Well, Catapult looks at things differently. So, of course, I haven't looked at Catapult yet. I got to test a beta version to work on energies. But we all know how simple Catapult is. One setup. And while the E-minis were designed for the 5-minute chart, which isn't really conducive for a trade room because those trades just take too long, this new energies version is going to work on different charts, tick charts, range bars. It's going to be good on that. So I'm excited. I'm looking at some really nice results so far. So looking like an energies module and Catapult coming up. Yeah, John. Well, good for you on the unleaded. And if that crude oil happened too fast, and it may have, it seems to me like there should have been enough time, but maybe it poked through really fast and never pulled back up. In which case, you're going to end up with, a couple losses, but then a big winner. So if you're trading 3 trades in, this one trade should make up for it. So a harder pathway, but hopefully a positive result regardless if anyone's trading crude. Of course, we'll be doing the crude oil report in about 32 minutes. So 15 minutes from now, I'm going to close the room, and then that'll give me time to get it all set up to reopen it for you, and then we'll get back in here and do the crude oil report. So if I kick you out, just come right back. Don't go away. You're going to want to trade the crude oil report, obviously. What else, guys? Anything else? How about this? I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I'm curious. Maybe you guys can help me out here. Show of hands. How many of you in here are in here and trading with the Counterpunch Express 2? If you're in here with Counterpunch Express 2, let me know, because I want to make sure I cover that for you. How many of you are in here with Spotlight? If you're in with Spotlight, type in an S. All right, so we got a lot of Counterpunch Express 2 people in here, which is great. You guys got to feel free to ask questions about it. I realize I'm showing you Spotlight. That's the newer strategy that's come out of Counterpunch and kind of made its way into our trade room, but I'm more than happy to show you Counterpunch Express. You can see we have a lot of Spotlight traders. We have a mix, right? That's great. So I don't want you to be shy, because I'm very happy to pull up Counterpunch charts. It could be full Counterpunch Trader, Counterpunch Express 2. If you're in Counterpunch Express 2, maybe you've thought about going to the full Counterpunch Trader, which wouldn't be a bad idea because of what it can do. Have you all, here's another question for you. Have you guys all joined my trade hacking club on Discord? It's just getting started. Got some big plans for it. Starting to put announcements in there and stuff. But if you haven't joined it, it's free. Gave the link out yesterday. That's good. Don's got Catapult. How many more of you got Catapult? Because that's another one I'm very happy to get into and show you if you just have questions. It's like I have limited real estate, right? I only have this monitor here. I'm showing 6 charts. It's pretty ambitious for a trade room. I'm really focusing only on 4 of the 6. But like our main trade plans, they're done already. So there's no reason why we can't open up charts and look at other examples, other I mean, I got a lot of material to talk about, obviously, but I want to give you guys what you need. I want you to use this trade room to learn as much as you can about any of the strategies that you have. So nothing's off limits, really. Good morning to you, Alan. Sam P, I don't know it. I wasn't, is that, are you referring to the Trade Hacking Club? Hey, Kevin, if you don't mind, if you're still present, could you please put the link to join our Trade Hacking Club into the chat for me? We're using Discord. It's a really great program. I'm really happy with Discord. It does a lot of cool stuff, and I'm just learning really its ins and outs. It could do, like, gamers use it really, but what we do is kind of similar, I guess. We're gaming the market, screen sharing and all that. I don't know if Kevin's present. Let me see. I sent him a message. Hopefully he'll get you that link in a moment. So anyway, got a few minutes left here before we end this session and reopen the room for the crude oil report. So I'll just let you guys come back at me if you have any questions about anything. And I'll get you that link if you didn't get it during yesterday's session for whatever reason. And I'll also, we'll have it for the next session during the crude oil report too. So Kevin giving me a message also that in the description of this YouTube stream, like if you go on YouTube and look at the description, the link is there. So it's already there for you. Looking at it from the inside out, where what I'm looking at, I don't see it. I don't see the description. But if you guys look at the description, when you click on the video on YouTube, you'll see the link. So just click on that, you join, and that's that. It's really easy. Brad asking on yesterday's hack, you touched on the SMS indicator over the SPT indicator. I didn't find that in the downloads for CPX2. It does show CPX2 HC. Yeah, so Brad, Spotlight Master Suite is a completely different strategy, member site, indicators, everything. Like what I'm showing you here, what you're seeing on this YouTube live broadcast now is the Spotlight Master Suite. Counterpunch is an older strategy. Like I did a trade room with Counterpunch Trader for I don't know how many years, 4 or 5 straight years, I forget. Maybe, I don't know. There was a mix of Counterpunch and Spotlight for a while, and then Spotlight just kind of took over being the newer strategy and being developed, and it went from Spotlight Power Trader to Spotlight Master Suite. So the Spotlight Power Trader, it all came out of Counterpunch. So Counterpunch was like the ancestor, the preceding generation, and from Counterpunch. And things like balance. Oh boy. All right, just type in if you could hear me. If you could hear me talk. Testing 1 2. So annoying. Try this again. All right, so you guys can hear me at least. And you should see the screen hopefully in a moment. All right, I could see that you can see it. All right. So some questions. So I was going to show you the difference between Counterpunch and Spotlight. You just have to realize that Counterpunch Trader is legit. It's valid. It's great. It's one of my all-time favorite best strategies. I still use it even though it's like 7 years old. I think it's a better choice for Forex swing trading. Don't get me wrong. Spotlight's also really good. It's just totally different, especially when you get into the Master Suite diamond level. So let's talk about Spotlight for a moment. When it first came out, it was Spotlight Power Trader. It had its core collection of trade setups. Then I integrated a new strategy into it. I never had a name for that strategy. I used to just kind of, refer to it as fun with moving averages. Dumb name, but it kind of was fun because you took a very innovative approach to using moving averages, but with the spotlight power trader concepts, because that's what the yellow trade actually is. The yellow trade was the first trade that gave birth to the strategy. It's where you have the proximity of your exhaustion dots to your 50 moving average, like here. Got the proximity to the 50 moving average, and that I noticed this with Counterpunch Trader. That gave some awesome setups, and that was the foundational. That was the spark of inspiration that led to the creation of Spotlight. So it was really born out of Counterpunch Trader. The fun with moving averages takes the concept of other moving average principles that we've learned with like trading, simple crossover, and other things that are maybe a little more innovative, and combines it with the spotlight technology and how the spotlight works. And it provided 6 additional setups for us. So all in all, there are 9 setups with the Master Suite Diamond level. So it was the combination of the 2 strategies into the one massive mega indicator and calculator with the ability to toggle any variation of them on or off, along with some really cool filters that became the Master Suite Diamond level. And so the whole Spotlight got rebranded and called the Master Suite. Now there's the Gold level, which is what Spotlight Power Trader used to be. There's the Platinum level, which gives you automation to the Gold level indicators. And then the newest, which isn't new anymore because it's already a few years old, was the Diamond level integration of this fun with moving averages concept. And that's like 2 strategies in one. Okay, so that's, and then of course there's Sub-Zero, and Sub-Zero is an extra set of indicators, an extra way of trading. You could learn more about that right here in this YouTube channel. I got a few videos on it. We don't talk much about Sub-Zero because, well, quite frankly, there just aren't enough hours in the day to pursue and cover everything. Well, a lot of people love Sub-Zero, and for good reason. You could use Sub-Zero concepts just by using the OSOB if you learn about. I'm going to do some trade hacking stuff on this eventually. Like, I have it in my agenda that we're going to cover this OSOB indicator, learn it better, figure out how we could use Sub-Zero concepts. Whether you use the indicators or not, you could always use just the visuals. There's a lot you can do with that concept too. Eventually, we'll get to that. But the point is that the Spotlight is a pretty dense program. Well, Counterpunch was also, like by itself, Counterpunch is also pretty stacked. And actually the indicator, the Counterpunch Trader, not the Counterpunch Express 2, but the full Counterpunch Trader, it's a pretty dense calculator with an enormous set of tools, many of which you don't even know of. Even if you have Counterpunch Trader, chances are you don't even know how these tools work. And so I'm going to cover a lot of that too. Like you should see my list. We're going to get into things piece by piece. I think everyone needs that. I want you guys to master these strategies that you have. So Counterpunch Express 2, nothing wrong with it. It's great. It's really streamlined. It keeps things really simple. But when you start figuring out what Counterpunch Trader can do, you may want to then move into the additional capabilities that the full Counterpunch Trader gives you. So the biggest difference between Counterpunch Trader and Spotlight, Counterpunch Trader is actually only interested in the relationship of a set of exhaustion dots, like this set here, to either 1 or 2 prior sets of exhaustion dots. It's either looking 1 back or 2 back. And that's what it's interested in. It doesn't care really about much else. There are some filters or some other rules as far as the price action and all that. But the foundation of the setup is where the exhaustion dots are in relationship to the set prior or 2 sets prior. That's it. It's really simple, isn't it? Simple concept. That's Counterpunch in a nutshell. If I had to give you a 1 or 2 sentence description as far as, the first building block. Basically, it's a list of smart price action confirmations that have to stack up in our side to give us a trade setup. The first piece of that confirmation is the set of exhaustion dots to the 1 or 2 prior. And I just got disconnected and reconnected. So, all right. So I know we got to end this because of the crude oil report coming up. Yeah, so Sam, it works on MT4. Actually, the Counterpunch Trader is your choice for MT4. Either the Counterpunch Express or Counterpunch Trader. And also Thinkorswim. Counterpunch Express 2 is maybe your best choice for Thinkorswim. Spotlight works well on Thinkorswim. It does not work on MT4. Because Spotlight was not designed for time-based charts, although I've learned it actually works really well on time-based charts. Maybe it needs to be developed for MT4. But you have Counterpunch, and that's already really good. All right, so Spotlight doesn't care about the relationship of one set of exhaustion dots to the prior set. It doesn't even consider that at all. Instead, it considers other things which actually increase the key metrics to most trades. Better win rates, more money per trade on the expectancy side of things, which is super important. Your average net profit per trade, higher profit factors. It's not 100% one-to-one better than Counterpunch because some charts on Counterpunch are just hard to beat. And Counterpunch has got its own strengths. But Spotlight's more picky. You'll see sometimes it'll miss a move. Why are those bars gray when there was a strong move? How come Spotlight didn't grab it? Because it didn't meet the criteria of the strategy. The strategy is looking for very specific setups. Again, price action confirmation stuff that stacks the odds on our side, and sometimes the market's going to move when those conditions are not met. And Spotlight gives you the beautiful green when you're long, red when you're short, gray when you're flat. It's not 100% perfect because we're often looking past the dots because of our adjusting. The strategy exists beyond the dots. With both strategies, you have to realize that the dots are just a tool for us to use. If I took all the dots off, except for the exhaustion dots in the balance line and nothing else, the strategy exists. It works. Same with Counterpunch. Maybe with Spotlight, you need a few more things. You need the histogram. You need the moving averages. I mean, you don't need them, but if you want to see where the trades line up. Anyway, all right, so I'm going to kick you guys out now because I'm going to run out of time and I won't be able to get set up and back in here for the crude oil report. So any other questions you have, just write them down. You always could ask me. Close the room so I can reopen it to set up for crude oil. All right, so hopefully that helped you guys, and I'll see